This is our 2022 Bronco Wild Track. I wanted to walk through and show you what we've done since we've gotten it. Most of the major components are all still stock. We've added little tidbits here and there to make this rig work for the type of adventures that we do. So let me walk you around and show you what we've done. All right, so starting up front here first, we added the Rough Country hidden winch mount with their 12,000 pound winch that comes with a synthetic rope line. Highly recommend synthetic over wire. A lot of people poo-poo on Rough Country, and yes, it is not a warn. My philosophy, unless you're out there winching every other day, this kind of mid-tier winch does just fine. We've only had to use it 3 times since we've owned it, but I'll tell you what, each time I am so glad that we've had this on here. My main reasoning for going with this particular mount was that it kept it down below the adaptive cruise control sensor, which yes, they do make relocation brackets to move it up into the grill, but I didn't want to mess with all that, and this has worked out just great for us. I ended up buying the extra extension cable so that I could run it through the engine bay and in through the firewall so that I could control the winch from inside the cab in case I was running solo and needed to both drive the Bronco and control the winch. The only downsides to the winch is there is no access from the top, so that means no freewheeling the winch. We have to run it out with the motor, and there really is no access to get to the spool without taking off the skid plate. But save for one incident, it really hasn't been a problem, so it works great for us. Staying up front is lighting. We added these Ironman 4x4 ditch lights and a 20-inch last fit light bar that I mounted to the front bumper. Again, nothing fancy, but we have used them a few times, and boy, does it make a difference when you're out there and it's super dark. The only downside with any of that is that these Ironman lights tend to whistle when you're at freeway speeds, but nothing that can't be solved with a few notches on the radio. Staying up front, we have these 2 bow shackles that hang from the front factory recovery points. Always good to have some solid bow shackles in your recovery kit. And I mean, come on, they look kind of cool sitting up front here. They make the Bronco look a little more rugged. Haven't had to use them yet, but I'm sure once we do, we'll be glad that they're here. On the side here, shortly after we got it, I added these Mabet mud flaps from Amazon. They've held up okay-ish. They did make somewhat of a difference with slinging the mud all over the side because the fender flares don't come down very far. It hasn't completely stopped rocks and mud from flying up, but they definitely have helped. However, I think it's the time where most of them have some kind of crack in them, and it's either time to replace them with the same kind, or maybe I'll look into something different. On the sides, I added a set of rock rails with the built-in steps. They're nothing hardcore, but they do the job. Protect the seams Ford inexplicably leaves exposed and makes climbing in and out just that little bit easier. Here in the back, we have our high lift jack. I bought a tailgate mount from Amazon as well. Early on, like I'm sure many, I was convinced that this was a necessity for off-road travel. We have yet to use it, so I am highly considering ditching it. Just save the weight. We have only had to change the tire out on the trail once, and we were at a campsite, so I was able to use the factory jack to get it up high enough. This is one of those mods that may be on the chopping block. All right, up top, we have the Hook Off-Road roof rack. It is a full roof rack. I mounted 2 Apache rifle cases from Harbor Freight. I liked that they weren't too tall, and so far they are holding up. No water or dust intrusion. Yeah, they're not super secure, but let's face it, most of these cases, the locks are just there to keep honest people honest, and anyone who wants to get into them will get into them and take your stuff. I also got the accessory side molly panels on each side. This particular side has the Rotopax mount for our new 5-gallon water jug. That has been an amazing thing to add, to have that extra water. And on the other side, I have our traction boards mounted. I used to keep them on the underside of the shelf that is in the cargo area of the Bronco, which was not a good place to have them, especially when we have the camper hooked up. I cannot open the tailgate all the way, so it made it a real pain if we needed to get to our traction boards. Now they're mounted on the outside, easy to get to, and we use them a whole lot more. I saw this roof rack on another Bronco at a Rigs and Coffee at Ironman 4x4, and I really liked it. Again, it's another budget option for those looking for something that isn't top tier. So far, it seems to have held up well. It's been through a lot of stuff. It still allows us to take the middle and front panels off of the roof, so we can still have a somewhat open roof experience. If we ever did want to take the entire roof off, including the back, it is not that difficult to remove. It would maybe be a few minutes for us to get it off, and we could go topless. This one might get a little nerdy, but up here on top of the roof rack, I put down some metal plates that accommodate our Star Mount Systems Gen 3 Starlink mount. The magnets are super strong. We have been at freeway speeds and it has not budged. So if you're worried about the magnets holding, I wouldn't. However, when I do have it up here, I did buy a couple small metal cables to wrap around the roof rack rails, just in case the thing decides to flop off, it doesn't go tumbling down the highway. All right, here in the back, I had swapped out the standard ball hitch on the Luna to accommodate the lock and roll hitch. This thing is amazing out on the trail. It allows for great articulation between the trailer and the Bronco. As you know, a standard 2-inch ball hitch only allows for so much movement, or you risk popping it right off. This thing has worked flawlessly, and this is probably one of the best upgrades that we've made. Sticking in the back, I added this cargo shelf here in the rear cargo area, another game changer. The cargo space back here in the Bronco is nice, it's a decent size, but you end up just piling everything on top of each other. Adding this shelf, this now carries our power stations. I keep a little bag up here that holds our Milwaukee inflator and my homemade hose kit for the 4 tires. Up here, I also have a Milwaukee charger mounted right to the shelf, which the cord comes around to a tiny little 400-watt inverter that then plugs into the 12-volt socket here in the back. That lets me charge all the batteries for the inflator, our little vacuum, the chainsaw, which, speaking of, that also gets mounted up here on the shelf now too. Again, makes everything easy to grab and allows us to put stuff like our luggage, water, anything else like that back here on the bottom and not have to pile everything on top of each other. Also in the back, I added a rough country tailgate table. Nothing fancy, just a nice fold-down surface that comes in handy all the time. Cooking, making coffee, tossing tools on it, even just a spot to set a drink. It's a simple mod, but I'd definitely miss it if it wasn't here. Here in the back, this one is all about Nubs. When we wanted to start taking her on trips with us more, I figured she needs a spot to sit and I didn't want her messing up the seats. So I looked into these nice rear seat covers. This will protect our seats. It also covers the footwells in the back so she doesn't fall into the footwells. It provides cover along the back as well. It has this little net. This is her favorite place to hang out, glued right to this net, trying to get up front with us. And best of all, it comes with this little strap that snaps into the seatbelt holder to keep her in place, and God forbid if we were ever in an accident, this would keep Nubs strapped in and not flying through the front windshield. All right, these I had been on the fence with for a while, but I finally broke down at Overland Expo PNW this year and decided to buy them and give them a chance. These are the Primo Works armrests. They are made to go on any vehicle, and holy cow, what a game changer these have been. Like, let's face it, this is all hard plastic that you're resting your elbow on for hours at a time, and when you're going down bumpy trails, that gets old pretty quick. These can be made to fit any vehicle. There's a metal plate in here and you just bend it to fit your vehicle. It has been just one of those tiny creature comfort things that have made such a difference since I got them, and I am glad I bought them. Inside on the dash, I added the bullet point mounting system. I installed 2 phone holders, a GoPro mount, and an iPad holder, which I haven't used much, but the phone mounts are rock solid. It keeps the phones held in place on even the bumpiest terrain, and it's just nice not having suction cups falling off the windshield all the time. One thing every Bronco owner figures out real quick is storage space is terrible. So I've added a bunch of little organizers to make it more livable. Door pocket replacements, little trays by the center console, and even sunglass holders up on the roll bar, all just to keep stuff from rolling around or disappearing. I also added a couple different bags on the back of the seats for things like travel kit essentials, tissues, wipes, medicines, and the other one holds my winch controller and my stickers. None of it's flashy, but it makes day-to-day use way better. All right, so 2 things that are on my wish list if money was no issue. Number 1 would be new suspension. It's still rocking its factory suspension, which isn't bad. However, not great, especially for towing. I'm not talking about some crazy rock crawling setup. I would just like to add some nice, decent suspension to both stiffen up that rear end, because there is some decent squat back there when the trailer's on it, and just to give us that little bit of added comfort when we're going down those washboard roads. And number 2 would be either a nice nice wrap or at least some paint protection film. We touched on the mud flaps earlier, and well, we have quite a bit of rock chip damage still. Nothing too crazy. I'd love either some kind of like matte black or maybe something with some design on it, or again, at the very least, a clear paint protection film to help protect the paint. And finally, the fun stuff. These don't make the Bronco perform any better, but they give it some personality. And I mean, come on, that's part of the fun. First up, amber grille lights. Purely for looks, but I like them. Next up is a little LED light strip that lives in the hood seam. It does a little Knight Rider-esque light show when it turns on. That's gotta add what, like 4 or 5 horsepower, right? Overlays on the Bronco letters. Cheap Amazon mod, and they're already wearing out, but still better than the plain white. Swap the factory antenna for this 13-inch one. Works just as great as stock, except now it doesn't look like a fishing pole strapped to the hood. And last, but definitely not least, the Flowmaster Outlaw Axleback Dual Exhaust. My favorite mod, hands down. I love the sound, even if it does drone a bit sometimes. So that pretty much wraps this up. That's everything that we've done to our Bronco so far. Of course, you know, builds are never done, but as of right now, other than those wish list items, if I see something here and there that we can add to it, great. But overall, we have it pretty dialed in for our adventures. I hope you enjoyed this video and that you found it useful. If you did, please hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe. And hey, if you're watching on TV, do me a favor, grab your phone or your tablet, head on over to my channel, give the video a like, and if you like my content, go ahead and hit subscribe. Until I see you next time, go until you can't.